just steps up your elegant grace. Beauty with brains puts the world in its place. They light the mic, that truth ignites, burning through the fake in the dead of night. Feminism shaking, red pill faking, they're breaking every chain. The culture's making no sense, no saints, no soft disguise. They see through the games and the alibis. They're not here to please, they're here to lead. Truth and balance, that's the creed. No one's a boom, energy of truth on fire. They're calling out the world's desire, from fake ideals to more decay. They're lighting up the modern age. No one's safe, not the church, not fame. They're flipping the script, rewriting the game. Love and logic, heart and soul, saving the truth for this nation's soul.
Like, oh my god, bitch, did you hear about the fucking rapper Dax? Like, dude, all he fucking talks about is like being a fucking janitor. Like, he thinks he's so fucking dumb. He's garbage, babe. Babe, he's fucking babe, he's garbage.
Yeah, can't touch the flow, it's too toxic. Can't see the vision, yo, optics. Got blurred from constantly watching.
Yo, what is going
What's up,
on,
everyone?
Yeah,
That video.
If you didn't get it, if you didn't get the memo, gee, I think we talking about them toxic ass. Oh no, we're not today. Oh man, how you doing, girl?
Good. How are you? We got a good show today.
We got a good one. We definitely got a good one. You know,
We always talk about toxic women, but we're about to like uncover that the silent reason,
we're talking about the epicenter.
yes, comes from men. Yes, it does.
Fellas, I know you want these women to be accountable, right? We need these women to be accountable. These hoes need to be held accountable. And I'm with you. And I say amen. But hey, man, you ready to be accountable too? This goes like this, because everybody wants to talk about these toxic women, but when men are the silent reason so many relationships fail, and here's the brutal truth. Most men today want access to sex. Let's just face it. There's guys that are drowning. That's why they call it the thirst. They are thirsty. But they want sex first without asking the hard questions, without considering the responsibility that comes with access to sex. The second the relationship requires him to step outside of his comfort zone, well, and he has to level up. His first response is like, whoa. Girl, you
She's
asking way too much. Way too much. So I'm not saying that women are not to blame. This is not Glenn being a simp and giving these women a pass. You already know that. I give nobody passes. I'm a straight shooter. But let me explain. Women want love, desire, and protection. But they don't want sacrifice or accountability when it gets hard. Both genders are operating with an emotional instinct instead of a structure. And here's why. Men romanticize over women from the start. They pedestalize them. They put the pussy on the pedestal. It's the altar. They make an idol out of them. So they prioritize fun and attraction and fantasy, dreaming about expectations that never have happened. And while avoiding all the hard questions that could actually end the relationship before it even gets any further. So Gia, they lose the foundation here.
Yeah, because it's built on fun and excitement. You know, I just want to have fun. Let's see where this goes, right? We all heard that before. Let's see where this goes. Well, yeah, you can see where this goes. You can have fun, but you need to ask the right questions. And I know me and you just got done doing a really great episode on that, on asking the right questions, which, we want to make sure that we tell our audience where to go to watch that episode. But first, we need to understand why this is happening. We have to be able to notice the patterns, right? See the trends, see why are there toxic women? Why are these women losing accountability? Why are so many women today struggling with it? There's always another side to this. So, when you think about like when a man puts a woman on a pedestal, right? When you think about this trend, he ignores massive red flags. Like we see this all the time. Men will talk about how much respect means to them while tolerating massive amounts of respect because the sex is good. And not just the sex is good, but the sex is on tap.
It's amazing. Okay. It is fire. Okay. It's like heaven is, never mind.
So what this does is, he's overlooking all the main qualities that keep a long-lasting relationship. Is she hardworking? Does she value his authority? Does she take his guidance, right? No. What is she doing? She's being disrespectful. She's not calling him back. She's not taking his guidance. She's, I want my independence. I want to be able to do what I want to do. So he says, fuck her, doesn't talk to her for a day. And the next thing you know, he's in the bed with her, 24 hours later, having sex, right? Oh,
Why is that?
I'll just, you know what? It's okay. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to get married to her. We're just having fun. Then he resorts back to that, but he doesn't realize that sets the stone. That sets the path for these women. And that's why a lot of these women are so damn disrespectful. There is no accountability. They continue to get trips paid for, their bills paid for, all in the pursuit of access to sex.
Gia, let me tell you, I have a confession to make. I have to make a confession. There were times I was mad as hell. I was like, no, fuck that. You know, I can't believe she did that. I can't believe she did. Then she starts doing things. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm mad at you. You just you didn't mean it. Guys are dumb.
It's not that they're dumb. It's just that they're forgiving. Men are very forgiving.
Right.
You guys let it go quickly. That's the good thing about guys, is they let shit go real quickly. They have to move forward. Women they'll hold that shit in there like an elephant.
It's
in a file for years because they don't have to. They can use that as a weapon. So we have to start learning our own natures and how that's benefiting or actually reducing our value. How is that actually a crutch? Is that becoming a weakness? Or are we learning self-discipline? So these are things we gotta ask. If she says, I want this, whatever that may be, I don't care what it is, a trip, a house, a ring, I don't care what it is. If she says, I want this, what do men do? How high? Right? But then they're not realizing the consequences of that jump, where that jump takes them. And as we know, all goals, no matter how big or small they are going to require sacrifices. And what are sacrifices? When you really look at what constitutes as a sacrifice, it's usually sacrificing something that you want short-term for what you want long-term. So that might mean reducing a lifestyle, a luxury, simplifying your life. And as soon as you make that jump, that sacrifice, it can feel like a setback. We know women don't do well with setbacks. They don't do well with going backwards, period. Okay. So to her, a setback, a sacrifice means, oh, he's not doing as well. This is sacrificing my future. So what does she do? She starts pulling back. And next thing you know, she's talking to some other guy, or maybe she's ghosting him, or maybe she's not showing up like how she used to. So what does that do? Automatically, she falls off that pedestal. And he starts going, whoa, I'm starting to see this woman. And then he starts thinking, oh my God, all women are the same. And then he turns into this red pill rage on Twitter. And this is the pattern.
By the way, I've never been that guy. Okay, I kept my rage. So here's the thing. I never hated all, there was all women. It was that woman. It was always the one that did something. I never would blame an entire, group of people for what one person did.
Then you're an exception, because I've talked to enough men, including my own husband, that happened to. All women were good for only one thing, and that's how they were going to get used. And this is what we are. This is the pattern. This is the process.
But I mean, is that even false though?
What false on how?
In the sense of because he's when you say it goes down, he's bringing it down to biology in that sense. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily entirely accurate because, it's the one thing that women provide men that men can't provide themselves.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be in a bad way, or looked at as a bad way, because if you're a guy, let me just put it out there. If you're a guy and you're putting in work and you're there's this expectation, you know, like, that women are. So it's kind of like, it's just like this, okay? It's like,
You're pulling out. What is that? Like the 90s R&B?
that was R. Kelly and Biggie Smalls.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
like
the 90s R&B, the good days.
yeah, like there's this expectation. Like, as you
But
say,
here's the thing. That's why men tend to compartmentalize, because it makes it more simpler to fix the solution, right? So like when they're starting to notice that 80% of women are falling into these patterns, it's easier just to say, well, just have her for fun. Just have her fun. Don't get into a committed relationship. Don't get married. Don't expect too much of her. And a lot of men fall into this whole thing, right? Because when you hear the saying men are simple,
that's all.
it's not necessarily true. It's definitely popular.
It's not necessarily wrong, though. It's not entirely wrong.
It's simple when they only are compartmentalizing and putting women in categories. That makes it simple, and that's how they fix the solution. But when a man actually sees a woman as something more than that, this is when he's no longer simple. This is when he has a lot of expectations for that woman and different things that he's going to expect from her. So like,
yes and no. I think there's. Would you say like it's so much of the expectations for her, or it's the level that he placed her at, and
correct.
that that he has to justify her being elevated to this status, and that's where the expectation comes from.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's several things, right? It's a nuance. It's like he's expecting sex. He's expecting not just any type of sex, like good sex. He's expecting femininity. He's expecting submission, but then he's ignoring all the other stuff that comes with it. Does she handle authority? How does she handle leadership? How does she handle boundaries? And how is he applying boundaries? Is he applying leadership? Is he applying authority? You see, a lot of times he's not expecting that from her, and he's also not giving it. And so she just starts to lead and decide. And once you start this way, it's a downhill cycle.
You know what happens when a man puts a woman on a pedestal? One, women don't want to be there, first of all, right? But he ignores massive red flags that tell you whether she's compatible with his future. And when a man romanticizes a woman, he overlooks disrespect. He doesn't. The insignificant. He may minimize it. Like, okay, Asash, his wife, and she's just making some jokes, man. They're just jokes. Yeah, that big, thick, meaty dick was a joke, okay? Right? And it shows that he's lazy. So he overlooks the disrespect. He's being lazy, and he lacks integrity. He doesn't have no integrity for himself, no self-respect. And he doesn't investigate her upbringing, because you know what? He's like, oh, she seems sweet. She seems nice. He doesn't pay attention to how she handles, as you would say, the conflict. How does she resolve things?
Yeah,
right?
Humans are innately lazy and they want easy. That's human nature. So I've seen too many men and women lose good relationships simply because of laziness. They just don't want to do the work.
When you say that, like, men are not like simple, right?
When it comes to their relationships, they're not simple. Yeah.
Because men are simple as they look, though, but they are very complex internally, right? They have this massive expectations. Like I could tell you, because I'm a man. Like if I was ever gonna get in a relationship, like how you girls have like that 600-point checklist. I got about like a 4,000-point checklist. Like, I mean,
I did away with lists like 2-3 decades ago.
Like, but see, you know what? Here's the thing about the list, though. That I have no list now, but because it's like before I could even compile a list of what I expect of them, I first have to vet myself. And this is where guys fail. This plays a role into this whole silent, failure, because since they're so prioritized in observing her behavior, they're like sitting here with a notepad and they're going, wait a minute, hold on, she did this thing, okay, so put this down here. And then they're just jotting down their spreadsheets. They're talking about how many times that they denied them over the course of the year. They're like, well,
you brought up a good point. Both sides are concentrating on what the other side isn't doing, and they're not looking at what they are or not doing.
They're not looking at their own shortcomings. And I was talking about this the other day, and I'm so glad that you brought this topic up, because I really hit home. And the way I presented it, I was talking about me. I wasn't talking about anybody else. I was talking about how, like, there was a situation and we weren't even like serious. She went away. I ended up hooking up some other chick. She ends up finding out, and she thought like it was cheating. And I was like, well, wait a minute. We weren't anything, like we weren't even, like, I just got out of a marriage. Okay, how did you think this was some, but she was planning on moving in, and I knew she was planning on moving in. So I could say that I could understand that she took it that we were serious, because we had this understanding about this moving in thing. But since it didn't happen yet, to me, it's not realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging, okay, you know what? I could see how you could take that this way. And instead of owning it, I was like, no, I'm not apologizing for something I feel like I didn't do. It was a power struggle. I didn't want to give in or even give her, like, try to accept that what she did. So by choosing to, like, not address it, not to lead, because that's exactly what it is. I'm trying to enforce my authority and obfuscate away from the issue. It actually became a huge mountain, and when it probably could have been nipped in the butt back then and never have been, causing all these other issues. I had to look at that and go, wow, I created this. I had more creation to this mess than I actually thought I did. But because I overlooked it and dismissed it as insignificant, it created a monster.
Yeah, you have two sides. You have the guys or the girls that have no expectations at all. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to have any expectations, but I'm also not going to, I'm going to have one foot in the door and one foot out, right? Because that way, if anything fails, I'm out, right? Or you have the other side where they're fully so much expectations that it's unrealistic. They want too much from one person. You can't expect somebody to be 10 things or wear 10 hats, right? So you have two extremes, and we have to find a balance in the middle, right?
Yeah, like what are your thoughts on why do men and women even have these expectations? Like because like what's shaping these expectations? Because you can't expect something that you've either never seen someone receive or that you've never received yourself.
Well, because we're dealing with not just a cultural thing, our society tells men and women like what's acceptable and what's not, but we also have religion that plays a part in that. We have our parents, our upbringing, wherever we came from. It's a combination of everything. That's basically raising men and women up to have certain beliefs and standards and expectations.
Do you think that society, I mean, I would say society probably still expects more of men, right?
I think that they hold them up to a higher standard, and there's not enough accountability factor when it comes to women. There's a lot of fail safes for women.
There's a lot of safety nets. They never actually, so when a guy hits rock bottom, like it's rock bottom and it hurts. And it's like, but women, I don't think women ever experience hitting rock bottom. There's always either the government or society comes in, or like new simp comes in. They never let her hit all the way down there. So she never, I don't know.
They do hit. Okay. I just think that we don't see them because they hit much later. Everybody has their timing. I strongly, I've been saying this forever. Okay. What we're seeing is like women usually get a lot of pull young. Okay. A lot of pull young. They get offered all these opportunities and things when they're in their 20s. And as soon as the 30s start coming, the 40s start coming, the 50s, that's when it starts weaning off. That's when they start actually hitting rock bottom. But we don't see that because they usually silently disappear. And they're not going to go online to talk about it. And if they do, they're chastised, they're victim, they're shamed, right? So they stay quiet as they get older. And guys usually have it really hard up front, and then they get
A little bit
better
more
with time.
easier. Yeah.
It becomes a lot easier. Now, the only thing that's going to change that is if they make really poor choices on women and they keep hitting rock bottom again and again and again, and they don't learn from it.
Yeah, I graduated with a PhD from the School of the Hard Rocks. So, you know, it's funny because guys will say, like, we only need three things. You know, sex from a woman, we want her femininity, and we want her submission, right? Here's my problem with this, because I don't disagree. They expect this for basically next to nothing. Like, because I'm noticing guys today think that they should just be able to be granted this access just for existing, just to exist.
Yeah, or it should be given instantly. Correct.
Yeah. Like, and every woman that does that has never worked out for her.
Everything has to be earned. I constantly say this, and this is not just for women. Women cannot simply exist. That's why I hate that quote. Women are born with value. Men have to earn value. I hate that quote because women are born with fertility. Okay. Yes. They're born with that, but they still have to earn respect. I don't care. You have to earn that. Like everything is earned.
Do you think that there's a level, and I'm gonna let's kind of go back and forth on this one, because I want to see if we can find somewhere. Do you think that there's a level of respect that women receive just because they do have that fertility? Like, we respect what you're capable of providing. So if there's a level of, like, I guess chivalry, or maybe gracefulness or gratitude that we offer, that I can say that we don't extend to men.
You're right. Okay. So what you're talking about is like with men, they have to earn it. They have to show it through
Everything.
competency, right? Women are like naturally given that leeway of, okay, she's beautiful, she's young, she's marriage material instantly, without like seeing, you know, does she have wisdom? Does she have discernment? Can she cook? Can she take care? How does she handle children? How is her upbringing? Like, without looking at these, but that's just people, again, with our last conversation, when I said that people focus on the wrong things, and this is why they keep going through heartache. They're not looking at the stuff that keeps you long term, which is the character.
And I agree, but that's where wouldn't you say, like women are afforded this pass in the beginning? It's almost like they're kind of given a head start, where men have to earn that from the beginning.
So they're taught, right? They're taught from their dads. Like I hear this all the time, even today, right up until today. I hear men or fathers go, I'm going to tell my daughter because she's beautiful to marry a millionaire. And I hear this from dads right up until today. So girls are taught marry rich. So they're taught to value the wrong things from birth. Like from a young age, they're taught to value the wrong things. And then when they can't find rich, then it's go get an education, right? Go get your career before you settle down. So now we're teaching them to what? To be the men that they actually wanted.
Yeah.
So now they're in competition with the man instead of a compliment.
And here's where dads are failing them. It's like, instead of making sure that these women, their young daughters, know what a man is going to desire or need from them or expect from them, preparing them, they are, is it almost like a self-hatred? Do you think, like, because why would if the dad did right, if the dad did, you know, measured up and he did a good thing, why would he project bad?
It's not that he's projecting bad. A dad is sincerely looking out for his daughter. He wants what's best for her, but men don't necessarily, they're not going to be able to do the job of what a mother should be doing. Okay. And there is a lot of single fathers or broken homes. So they're doing their best. Okay. But for instance, the other day, I saw a father tell his daughter, if a guy ever comes to you and says, can you cook like my mother? How you need to respond to that guy is, can you work like my father? And he thought that was good advice, but I kind of laughed because I said, what you did was you taught your daughter to deflect from the main point, which is, can she be a good wife and mother, to can you make money? My value is money. Okay. He saw it as a good thing, but he wasn't seeing the other side. And that's why 2-parent households are so important, because a good mother, a good wife is going to be able to see that other side. So she's going to be able to teach her daughter. If a man comes to you and says, can you cook like my mother? You know, that's a good thing. He's actually looking for, do you have the qualities of a wife? Do you have the qualities of a mother? You know, it's not, oh, can you work like my father? No. Yes, you want a hardworking man, but these are things that you have to see, you have to watch. It's not something he's going to be able to tell you. Any man's going to say, yeah, I'm a hard worker, but watch what he does. Not what he says he's going to do.
I don't think there's many hard workers anymore. And
It's
I'm just
true.
saying, just from
It's
my
true.
own view, because
No,
I mean,
you're right.
just talking to guys, like they may, it sounds good. There's some of them could give great motivational speeches and they use a lot of vibrato. And I'm gonna go out there and get it. And
Well,
then
hero talk is easy. Hero talk is
Yeah.
easy. Like I hear it all day. Oh, I die for my family.
Oh, I hate that.
Okay.
I hate that. That's an easy
But
way out. That's
your
a
family
escape.
doesn't want you to die for them. Your family wants you to live for them. How do you live for them? Not coasting. Get your ass to the gym, you know? Like live good quality life for your family.
Did we talk about this the other day? Because
I tweeted something. Yeah, I tweeted something.
Okay. Because I remember I said something about this. And you know what's funny is because you know where I got that from? I was in the service and like I would die for my fellow brother in the arms, right? I would take a bullet. I was conditioned to be known that if it came down to it, I had to be the one that's willing to take a bullet, right? And just lay my life down. And I remember, like I said, I would even die for Christ, right? And then I remember this this little old lady at this church. She said, "Boy, Christ doesn't want you to die for him. That's the easy way out. You're getting out of doing that is getting easy way out. No, you know what's difficult? You know what it takes to be a man? Can you live for Christ?" And I was like, why would he want me to do all that? That just sounds complicated. He's like, because that's what it really takes. Because if you're living for him and you are being able to walk that out, now you're inspiring more people. And that's challenging. Dying is easy.
No, but
Living is hard.
Think about everything we do. Like I was in the kitchen the other day and
that's where you belong.
It's true. I'm always in the kitchen, but like I was doing laundry, I was cleaning the house, and like in the back of my head, I always get my best thoughts when I'm either working out or cleaning. Like it always like my head. So I'm thinking to myself, man, look how easy our life is. Like the washing machine washes your clothes. Normally we'd have to be outside washing the clothes, right? The vacuum is simple. It's pleasurable. Put some music on, the dishwasher's cleaning our dishes, our stove. We go to the grocery store and pretty much everything's convenient is what I'm trying to say. So we have trained ourselves, our children, our next generations that we prioritize convenience. We prioritize what's easy. Everything becomes disposable because of that. So we don't think that we need to earn anything. We think everything needs to be given to us.
That makes marriage convenience.
And now there goes commitment. There goes commitment. Because anytime things get hard, now we expect, no, they should miraculously just appear. No, sex should miraculously appear. No, that's not how it works.
Look, I can tell you right now, sex does not miraculously appear. Never have I been sitting here doing work and vagina fell from the sky. Okay, it just never happened. I've been waiting for it. Okay, it just has not happened. It required effort. Okay.
So then like when effort is required, then people are walking away. Okay, and then they're just doing the same thing to the next relationship in a cycle. And just becoming more bitter, more callous, more harder, because every time you have a failed relationship and you find a new one, now you do this whole, well, I'm not going to do this from the past because that burned me. So I'm not going to do that with the new guy or the new girl. I'm going to change how. So you keep putting walls up. And that makes you more callous and bitter toward the opposite sex.
You know what? I did that. I can tell you right now, I did that. And like, I'm been so far removed from relationship at this point where like, I the way I look at it is like, if they're gonna if I have to put all these walls up to try to protect myself, that's a lot of work. Right? I might as well just remove walls, give you the sight. Aim here. Don't give me another flesh wound. Just take the shot if you're gonna do it. Because like that's how I look at it. Is like just put it all out there. Like be yourself. Don't you're setting yourself out from what something could be really good. And I tell guys this a lot. Stop dragging that past in here. But when
But
let me
it's
ask you this.
hard not to, though. It's easier said than done.
Let me ask you this though. When you hear that people saying all marriages end badly, or I don't want to sacrifice, right? Or I want to live on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that translates to I don't want anyone expecting anything from me that's going to be an inconvenience to me, right? Like it's almost like the woman that like kind of wants kids but doesn't want kids, but she just becomes like the best aunt because like she likes to go pick up the nephews and nieces, but then not have to be the doesn't have to be like the parent,
Why
right?
do you think less and less people are having kids? It's the same exact reason. Why should I do anything that's going to inconvenience my life? It's the same. Yeah, it's a pattern. And what we're doing is we're creating new kids with the same mentality, half in, half out. Oh, I'm going to do it as long as it's easy. But as soon as it gets hard, I'm out.
You know what's funny though? Like, you know how guys are saying like they don't want to get married because they don't want to end up being a slave to their wife, right? Or they don't want to do the.
But then they end up being slaves to other things.
They
So
end up being a slave to the system that makes them a slave to the wife.
yeah, it's work, spend, escape, repeat the process, and they don't even realize they're doing the same thing. But then the worst part about it is at least they're not coming out with anything. They're not coming out with kids, with a legacy, with anything. You know.
And you know, I know that guys are like, there's some people that push back on me and say this. I think legacy can mean a lot of different things. I know a lot of men that will not end up having children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thor had, you know, 2 sons, but he had 4 children altogether in the house that he grew up in. When by the time he died, he would tell you that he had probably like 30 sons. And I was one of them, right? You know, like his legacy expanded beyond his biological, you know, reach.
Right.
And it's because you can have the legacy without having the biological lineage to that legacy. So I think guys don't realize.
Like I've had a lot of conversations with very, you know, successful people on this topic, and there's people that believe that legacy doesn't exist, right? In the essence of when it's coming from children, because and we see this time and time again. A parent can have how many kids, and those kids will be nothing like them, will do nothing to extend or to keep the memory alive. They'll squander over their small amount that is left, whatever that, you know, money was left or assets were left. They'll squander over it, argue it over what is left, right? So on that essence, yeah, legacy, you're right, will mean different things to different people. But if you can leave something behind that signifies what you were about or what you gave back, and doesn't even have to be kids, then I do think that it can survive. There is something to it.
I think there's the things that like Thor taught me and taught a lot of the guys. It's I take it as my responsibility to keep that alive because of how monumental and impactful it was. But you know, and it's hard.
And it was one of a kind. It was one of a kind.
It was
there
rare.
wasn't anything out there. Yeah.
And what's sad is that it's difficult too. It's hard, and it's going to require work, and it does require work. And it'd be easier at times just be like, just toss it to the side. But you remember all the work that he put in and how it's just like you can't let that go, right? You just can't let that die off. But see, you mentioned like, you know, the lack of work ethic, the lack of, you know, the over laziness that we see in men and women. Do you think it has to do with the participation trophy aspect?
It has to do with them searching for free. They think that non-committal things are freedom. Like they're prioritizing freedom and fun. It comes down to that. It really comes down to self-gratifying, selfish behavior, wanting freedom and confusing freedom with lots of money, lots of girls, you know, lots of time on their hands. Like they see that as that's freedom. But is that really freedom, right? Is that really freedom when you think about the wasted time, when you think about the wasted routines? Because how many of these guys are turning this into physical success?
Yeah, like
in the gym, right? How much of this freedom is actually being used to maybe invent something that isn't on this planet? right? Like,
What
this
does
is
it
the kind of
profit
things
a
we have to be
man?
asking. Hmm.
What does it profit a man to like gain the whole world, to
Hmm.
have all this money and wealth? You may have found financial freedom, but you are still a slave,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's literally like they want to call it freedom, but it's avoidance. So we've dressed up avoidance and made it look like freedom,
Mm,
and it's not.
that's crazy.
And now we wonder why that correlates into our relationships. Why are we avoiding hard conversations? Why are we avoiding committed relationships? Why are we avoiding marriage? Why are we avoiding anything that requires actual work and not just, a month here, a month, years, decades of hard work? Because it's the long game. I say this all the time. What, of course, if you want to look at what marriage is going to do for you now and benefit it, if you're looking at marriage as what benefit am I going to get from it, then you have the wrong idea to begin with, because it's not about who's it's benefiting. If you think one side or
Mm,
the other benefits, no, it's about something bigger than yourself. Because what you see and what you benefit from is the long game. It's down the road when nobody cares about what you, when your fame is gone, when your money is gone, when your youth is gone. That's when it matters.
yeah, yeah. And I think what it is that they don't want to problem solve. They want it like solved for them.
Well, they think they're solving the problem by just not getting involved at all, because it's the short term. Hey, this is easy. This is short term. I don't have any issues right now. Why complicate it? Right?
Mm.
Half in, half out.
Do you think it's like also like being half in, half out is helping them like try to not have to actually be the way they look at it's like, well, I didn't really try, like I didn't really, thank God I didn't commit, right? Because if I did, I would have wasted all that time. Do you think it's like a cop out, like for them to, like
Yeah,
it's almost
absolutely.
it's
It's
almost
like
like it's almost
I'm
like
not gonna
bringing the failure into existence before it
I'm
even
not gonna
happened.
disappoint. I won't disappoint myself. I won't disappoint anyone else if I don't commit. Like, but the truth of the matter is no one escapes responsibility. No one escapes accountability either. Like, we like to say that women don't get accountability, but I'm sorry. We don't get to,
Mm.
as women, we don't get to choose our accountability. We get our accountability. We just don't get to choose how that plays out. It's going to play out now or it's going to play out later. And just
So,
because the public eye doesn't see that accountability doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You see?
and I think that's where I had problems with this, because you say that, right? You say that, and I look at the people that I know in my life that done me dirty, like that I felt
Mm,
wronged by, and I look like, where's their accountability? They got
mhm.
made in the shade. They leveled up. They're doing pretty good over there. Like I don't see where's this accountability at.
Because we're not going to see it and they're not going to show it and they're not going to say it's just like everything that we see on social media today. Most of everything we see is a cope. It's all people
Mhm.
just projecting out what they like to see, what they will never have happen to them. But in actuality, the reason why they're saying that is because many times they've had it happen to them.
And I think
you
that this
know?
this is what I think. I think guys that avoid commitment, right? They think it makes them free. Really, what it shows us is shows like how passive aggressive they are and how afraid of confrontation they are. Because if you are going to be in a commitment, that means there's going to be times you're going to have to confront things, and that's I don't think these guys are bred that way these days. Like, I mean, it's like if you can't
Everybody's
face,
running on self-preservation. That's what it is.
yeah, it's like the way I look at it, if you cannot face confrontation like a man, then you will live as a slave to comfort. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about with the self, the media, like an instant gratification, lack of, work ethic, right? So, and then when you have that, there's no legacy there. There's no respect there. There's no peace from a man who hides from war. And I think these guys need to start realizing that the only way things are going to improve for them is that if they stop avoiding the war and confront the war in a you could be aggressive, but not, abusive. That you could be aggressive in addressing the problem and confronting whatever issue you have, the obstacle you have,
Mhm.
without losing it or without, making it worse. Because you know what I think confrontation is? I think confrontation brings clarity.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Like if you think about it, we live in a very fragile world that tries to avoid confrontation. They
Mhm.
see it as like offensive. Like think about our last one about misogyny. Anything that is confronting the truth, they want to call it misogyny. Why? Why? Like this is our natural reaction to anything that is outside of our comfort zone. So that's why I
You-
say like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think confrontation is a masculine duty. I think it's a
Mm,
duty. I don't think it's something to avoid. I think it's something to embrace, right? Because let me tell you how confrontation helps and solves a lot of things. When masculine men confront, not to escalate, but to clarify and correct, guess what happens? It avoids conflict breeding, expanding. It avoids resentment and chaos growing, right? But if you don't speak up and if you allow that disrespect to grow, you are the enforcer of your own world. So you're now enforcing this bad behavior by not confronting it.
and now
So
we
it's like,
know why there's so much, disarray. And I think like when we ask, why are these women doing this? Like even the video that we just watched, right? With what's her name? What is the girl's name?
I can't speak no Indian, like Ashad.
So that's a product of people tolerating the behavior.
Yeah, yeah. Like okay, but like I think, and this kind, I'm gonna tie this in, because like we're talking about lack of commitment and lack of having the balls to confront, right? If there's no commitment, then you have no purpose, right? If you're not willing to confront, you have no authority. You have no it's like you have no presence,
Mhm.
you know? Like the best way to put it is like, okay, when chaos is where like that's where real masculine leadership is revealed, right? Can you handle chaos? How can you handle this chaotic situation, and do you break, right?
Right. It's called adverse
Adversity.
yes, adversity, thriving on adversity, like no fail safe. Can you do that? Because that's really when I talk about what makes you successful, if you can master the rejection, and that is thriving under adversity, you can basically get through anything.
It's like also conflict. Guys don't realize that conflict actually presents an opportunity to reset boundaries and actually establish their leadership again. If they
Yep.
have altered, if they have, fell off track a little bit, this is a perfect opportunity for them to reestablish those boundaries and actually preserve their relationship that they claim that they want. And like if you use confrontation to reinforce your standards as well, this is my standard. Hey, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm just telling you what might happen if I'm not here. And guys don't realize that commands, you could command more by just displaying that, not being afraid to confront things that you need to address. And because when it comes from your conviction, like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm not just coming at you to come at you. This is a boundary here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like,
So
like when you look at, okay, how do we create solutions now for men, for women? Like what is the solution going forward? What do you think? What do you think's the solution?
well, men stop being like, I think men need to start addressing problems in their life like an architect, you know?
Mm,
And this is kind of the way I look at it. It's like we need to zoom out, stop focusing on this little thing and zoom out to get like have more of a big picture overview, right? Because like guys will complain about like, oh, like they'll say like I'm overweight, I'm broke, I'm angry, and they think that's three problems, right? They'll think that's three separate problems. I'm like, no, that's not three problems. It's a lack of discipline and vision, and maybe two max. Two, not three, right? It's not just you're just having three symptoms manifest out of these two problems. So
mm,
how should they do it? They should address it, confront the problem. And sometimes the majority of that is confronting the man in the mirror,
mhm,
and not minimizing what their shortcomings.
mhm.
Like women, would you agree that women find consistency in a man very like reassuring.
Yes, I mean that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with my husband,
Okay.
because he was that kind of person that I could always rely on.
The moment that you see, let's say he goes off baseline behavior and he's not being consistent, your antennas are like,
Mhm.
and now what does that do? That causes this chaos. You now, he has indirectly set you to be going chaotic on him.
Yeah.
And he could
Yeah.
have avoided that entire problem by maintaining that consistency. And he doesn't see it as a big deal. Like it's just one time or it's just a couple times. Like, what's the big deal? Get a grip. Him dismissing it and dismissing your need. Here's the other thing: your need from him, right, is allowing this to fester. And it's a problematic if guys are not problem solvers and seeing this coming down the road. It's not, we're not just supposed to address the problem once it's here. We're supposed to address the problem before it even gets here so that nobody even knows that we were planning for that problem.
You know, I think about it like this, like you're a veteran, my husband's a veteran. You guys are very good at like the hairs on your neck will stand up if something's not right. You know, so like you're very good at detecting, okay, something's not right. I need to figure out what that is and act on it, right? But I think what's happened is because women, it's been like a slow decline on bad behavior and toxic women, that men have like desensitized themselves. And that's like with everything, like they've desensitized with the porn, like everything. You look at everything online, we've slowly normalized bad behavior. So now you can't even, your body's not even saying, oh, watch out, red light. So things go too far, too long. But like, as you said, the discipline, the boundaries, being able to say no to sex on tap, like that's a hard thing for a man. But maybe you have to be applying more self-discipline and boundaries to, when it comes to that issue too. You know, there's so many different things, but that's one of them.
You know what? Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. You know, me and Thor would actually go back and forth on this. We would argue over this. Like Thor would always say, never pass up. If she's willing, you take it, right? Me, I couldn't do that. If me and my significant other were in a serious argument and there was a serious disagreement, I can't angry fuck her enough, right? I would just end up losing attraction. I literally would lose I'm like, I'm not even in the mood. Like there's nothing you could do to make me rise to the occasion right now. I'm just not here with you. And he's like, no, you got to get past that. I was like, I can't. I can't do it. Because the way I look at it is like, I'm rewarding you. Not you, but I'm just saying I would be rewarding her by giving her my dick. Like, and this is where I say guys do not have enough dick control. They don't value their dick. They just kind of they'll give it to her when she's bad because she wants to make up for being bad, but there's no real consequence there. And they'll give it to her for any reason as long as he gets to get wet in there. And to me, that they cheapen their value in her eyes that way.
Yeah. You know, like it's a mindset shift. It really is. That's why I talk about fitness, because that's one of the gateways for that mindset shift. It starts there, you know? But I mean, there's other ways you can do it, of course, but that mindset shift from no commitment to commit to purpose. Right. So it's like that mindset shift or my needs to our needs, you know?
So this is what I look at it. I say, you know what? If you have time to focus on what you think what you're not getting, then you have to ask yourself, are you actually? And if you're thinking about what you're not getting more than what you're worried about, whether or not are you fulfilling his needs, and vice versa, that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem.
You know, like you have to run. What I say is like run toward high effort. Consistency, strong social skills, under promising and over delivering, you know, run toward those things, but run away from the exact opposite of that, which would be low effort. You know, a lot of men are giving low effort, but want high expectations. So run away from that. Run away from inconsistency. Things that are like going to throw you off of your routines. You know, you need all those things are important. Poor communication is another one. Run away from that one. You know, if somebody is not able to communicate properly, that's a signal.
What I would say this, like you guys need to identify patterns and then break it. Like most problems, most problems are not like new. They're repetition of poor decisions, poor habits, poor emotional cycles, right? Masculine problem solving, looks, they look to keep what's happening, and then they break the loop. They break that loop. It's like, if I'm going to solve a problem, I want to solve it one time, and I don't want to have to deal with it ever again. So we have to do pattern checks. Hey, what's happening? Why? When has this happened before? Okay. What is the common denominator? What are the factors that contribute to this thing happening? And then what needs to change from the source in order to stop that? So I call it like the masculine like pattern killer. You want to kill these patterns, right? Boundaries, routines, upgrades, right? How does that mean?
I always say women are the flow, men are the hold. They hold. They don't let things go through. So you're right. Men have to stop. They have to break the chain.
Yeah, because it's like this. For example, you keep dating toxic women. That's not a them problem. No, that's a your filter and frame is broke problem, right? It's like you can't be blaming all toxic women. Well, why do you date them? Because you have not found the pattern. You're not broken that pattern yet. You haven't recognized it, and you're still betting for the same thing. It's like,
can't tell you how many different men that I know that their picker is broken. They just keep repeating the cycle, and they're save-a-hoes. They just keep the same type of women in their lives because they're not noticing the patterns and breaking them.
So, and I always say, it's like, you got to approach it like mastering the masculine mindset of system thinking, right? It's like this. If you solve the problem emotionally or individually, you're thinking like as a prey, right? But if you think like an engineer, you're thinking of like how every system interconnects, right? You got input, processes, outputs. You got feedback loops that matter. You got small root changes equal huge changes, right? Results. Like, this just from adjusting your macros just enough, a little bit in one direction could be the difference between being shredded or just having the silhouette of the six pack, right? So what they need to ask themselves is, what behaviors that I'm involved in that create this outcome that I don't like, right? And then what assumptions are built around those behaviors?
It could even be like a father, like, an absent father that he has been never really forgiving and hasn't ever like reached out to him to kind of mend it. Like, what you talk about with your mom, like, it's nothing that, you've done what you need to do. You understand, you respect her, how you have to break those chains. Same thing with men today, like whether it be a mother that's been a poor example or a father that's a poor example, make amends with it. Let it go.
Forgive yourself and forgive them. That is really key. I know people like, oh, forgiveness is for them. No, it's really for you. It's really for you because, I realized that for so many years, I was like beating myself up over this, and I would find myself in the same situation over this one situation that I have never I wanted that person to pay. And I'm like, my dad asked me, he's like, do you think they even give a fuck about you? Do you think they're thinking about you as much as you think about them? They're enjoying life. They don't even think about you. And I'm like, I know it sucks. He goes, I know. So why don't you just let it go? He's like, why are you allowing yourself to be hung down by this? They're not bothered by it. And it's like, I had to forgive myself. And when I was able to forgive myself, forgiving them became easy. But I had to acknowledge that I was part of the problem. And this kind of goes back to being the difference between someone that is toxic, right, and someone's not toxic. Because we will say women are being toxic because of the outbursts. And we think the guy is not being toxic because he's silent, because he's composed, or you don't see any display of that. Silent killer is more dangerous than the boom from the girl. You know that?
And there's a lot of silence around the other side. Like when you look at everything going online, all the back and forth stuff, it's always one side talking about the other side while not admitting how they contributed to it.
Oh yeah, because it's never their fault. Guys are just as delusional and in denial as women. And this is what I'll say. Oh my gosh, we already hit our hour. We're gonna be wrapping up after this. But this is what I'll say this, and then I wonder if you agree with me. The way that men are complaining and demanding women to be held accountable You can never expect it, gentlemen, until you look at yourself in the mirror and you actually honestly hold yourself accountable. And you know what? I didn't like myself when I actually had to sit there and I jotted down things that I could recall, that I acknowledge that I actually didn't do good. I thought I was great. I thought I was God's gift to women. I was like, ladies, you should be grateful that I even acknowledge your presence. Really, when I look back at things and I see, oh man, I dropped the ball here. All those little things that you think they're insignificant, they add up. They add up and they're big. And yes, they may have done a few big things that cause problems, but when you are consistently like a leaky faucet, just drip, 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 and they're just like a flood that just blows out, your drip is more damaging because it causes that flood. And if you don't acknowledge that, like you're gonna just keep on running into the same problem.
You'll fill it. Yeah, you'll fill it with voids. Like you'll fill it with distractions or addictions. You'll find a way to kind of ignore that side of things, which is why it's so detrimental and it ages you.
Yeah, look at me, guys. Look at all this gray. Look at all this gray. You want to stay away from all this gray, okay? I'm trying to help you out. I'm here for you, fellas. I'm here for you.
No, because we talk about like fitness all day long or like eating healthy, but we never talk about chronic stress. Chronic stress is like the #1 reason why people are dying.
And it's at least like the heart disease and everything else. It's crazy, you know. But you have to. It's like, you know, it's kind of biblical. You know, it says don't measure whatever you measure somebody else by.
Practice what you preach. Exactly.
God's
Lead by
measure you by.
example.
Yeah, and it's like, this is why I give out grace. I'm very gracious because I know I need all the fucking grace in the world. You know,
we all do. We're all fucked up. We're all fucked up. Like none of us are playing on a full deck. We all have our issues. That's why, you know, you have to be able to like look at yourself, see what you need to work on. And you know what I find is like when you're working on yourself, you don't have time to point fingers. You really don't.
And you know, this is what I tell guys. This is what Thor would say. Why are you pedestalizing women that are not even your woman to begin with? You're not even fucking this girl. Why do you care what they're doing? Your purpose is that direction, not over here. So as long as you are still powwowing over here, bitching about them, guess what? They're moving forward. While you are still here talking about people that don't even give a shit about you, that you don't even matter in their lives. How about you build your path and keep on going where you're supposed to be going? And then, you know what? By the time you get to where you're supposed to be going, all that shit from back here, you're going to realize, look back and see how far gone it is, how much distance you've created from that, you know, and you're going to be happier with your life. You're going to be in a different place, and you'll
meet better people too. And you'll surround yourself with better people as well.
That is the beauty of it, is that as you grow and you let things go as you're growing, you're not losing anything. You think by holding on to this stuff, you're keeping it. No, like you're letting it go so you can actually gain a better network of people that actually have a different value system, and you get exposed to more culture and different. It's you have to let go. You can't be hoarding on to that shit, you know?
I know even myself, like I'm just speaking for myself, since I've started on trying to get better, trying to change bad habits, you know, I have got rid of a lot of friends. I mean, I'm a loner now because like I start realizing how many people are like leeching and using, and like as you start to like open your eyes and see the patterns and see where you're doing wrong and get rid of the addictions and distractions, you really start losing all this dead weight.
Let me ask you this before we wrap up. The friends. When you started losing your friends, or when you started noticing, like, did you realize like what kind of friends at that point that you wanted to surround yourself with? Like what people, like what qualities and characteristics that you're like, you know?
I start realizing that I would rather be alone than with people that are not exactly returning value, the same kind of value that I'm willing to give. So there's not many people in our world today that is willing to be self-sacrificing, have boundaries, have discipline, say no when that would bring like very instant gratification. Like that's
Yeah.
very hard. I know for me, like on simple things, I'm constantly offered opportunities for things that I'm constantly saying no, because I know it's not going to give me a better future. It might give me something really short term, but it's not going to help my marriage. It's not going to help long
Yeah.
term. Like it's probably going to have me surrounded with the wrong people. So I say no to it. And that's very hard. And there's not many people that are willing to do that today. But that
So, you know
doesn't
what?
mean that
I
you
don't
shouldn't
ever
do it.
say no to opportunities. You know what I get? I need to start saying no to. I don't say no when people call me and they're like, Glenn, can you help me with this? Because I'm just, yeah, whatever you need, I'll be there. What do you need? You need help? Like you could call me at 2:30 in the morning. You're like, Glenn, I need you to come out here. All right, I'll be on my way. Like, like, oh, Glenn, can you give me yeah, I got you. Like, or I need this help here. Can you help me build this up? No problem. Like if my friend or somebody that I care about says they need my help, I'm gonna make myself available. And I realize that, as I don't want to ever lose that aspect about me, because I think that the moment that I start guarding it and just like I'm limiting, I'm letting other people affect who I have always wanted to be, like, like that person that's there for people. But what I realize is I have to be a good steward with it. Not everybody is needing it, and they're using me to get so that they don't have to actually do the hard work that it would take to get there, and so they never really earned when they end up getting. Two, I sabotage myself. I hold myself back because I'm investing in the people that are maybe not ready for that investment. But because I want to help people, I end up just giving in there, and it's just so that's where I need to start saying no. But not
like we all got to learn how to say no more often. I agree. It all comes down to boundaries and discipline.
You send all the opportunities they throw you that you're telling them no. I'll say yes to them. Like, okay, I'll get a mankini.
No, see, the problem is the thing is that women are offered things because of their sexuality and because of their looks.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean when I say I'm saying
I know.
no
I was joking. I'll get a mankini.
I'm saying no because I know that they're trying to use me for those reasons, and that doesn't serve a better purpose for the future. But see, women today, why would they say no? There's like, they're not going to say no. They're rewarded for it.
The very thing that was valued is so diminished in value. That's how sad. I mean, think about and we'll wrap here. But think how sad women think about themselves, how low they think about themselves, where they're able to squander that and they don't value. They don't see that as.
You're not going to see it until much later. And even then, I say this all the time. Like, even if you have never, it's like you say this too. If you have never had that experience, how would you know what you're missing?
No.
So a lot of these women don't know what it's like to be in a healthy relationship. Or men don't know what it's like to see a good woman. They've never seen one sacrifice everything for them. So why would they sacrifice anything when they've never even experienced it? They think it doesn't exist. It's a unicorn, Yeah.
No, you're right. And guys will actually fuck up a good thing because they're only comfortable within the dysfunction. And that's part of that loop that they need to break. But you know what, you guys? Tell us what you think.
Down in the comments.
Hit us up in the comments. And one thing, guys, do not do what R. Kelly did. Okay, do not go like this. And then that's how you end up in prison.